So welcome back, everybody, to the summit. And in this particular interview, this expert interview, we have Jennifer Yarbrough, and she is a fundraising expert. She is a grant writing guru, and she's going to help us understand the connection between productivity as a nonprofit leader and making sure you have enough funding to do the work, to carry out the mission. So Jen, thank you so much for being with us. And what else would you add to that introduction?
Well, first, thank you so much for the opportunity to share. And I'm excited to be here for the whole entire summit that I'm sure is going to be very valuable for everyone to learn from. Productivity, to me, resonates with the right action at the right time always gets the right results, right? That's just something that I live by. And when we are doing productive work, we're doing it at the right time and we are clear about our results. And so I'm all about results. I'm all about impact and how we can grow in that capacity. And I'm excited to share even more about that during our conversation.
I like that. So the right action at the right time. So let's say we're speaking to, let's take a couple of different audience members who might be participating in the summit. So let's pick on somebody from education, maybe somebody from who's like an executive director, then maybe a member of the clergy. So let's say a school principal. What does that look like, focusing on the right actions at the right time?
Well, being very clear on what results you want, right? And many times we're so activity driven that we lose sight of what exactly are we wanting to achieve. I think that a plan that is strategic understands the goals. Goals are smart, right? Specific, measurable, and timely. And so if we understand the goals that we're trying to meet in terms of service, in terms of impact, in terms of dollars, then understanding where we're going then says, how are we going to get there? What are those specific measures or activities that we need to do every single day? We can't reach the end of the year and say we didn't raise any money. I have to say every single month, what are the things that I am doing that are working, that I'm not doing that I need to make an adjustment for? Do I have the right people who is, participating in this process? So really being able to measure towards success is an intentional task. It does not come, by osmosis. And I think that many times we have so much on our plate, so many priorities, and we're just wanting to get things done, as opposed to saying, am I working in the way that's going to get me to where I'm going? That saves more time than being overwhelmed with a lot of activities. And then we realize, oh my gosh, we still didn't reach our goal and we don't know why. We can't measure, recalibrate. And so that's kind of how I have led organizations and how I train my leaders to do the same. Really day to day, what am I focused on to achieve a certain goal each day? I tell my leaders, if you spend 45 minutes, just 45 minutes on those key activities, you'll have huge results at the end. I hope that made sense.
No, it makes total sense. And I think sometimes in the nonprofit world, we get into this thing where we get to the end of the year and we say, oh gosh, I missed the mark on that particular thing. And I don't know, it just got busy and we kind of shrug our shoulders as if to say that's okay. And it sounds like what you're saying is, well, actually, if you're spending that 45 minutes a day, being intentional, you are much more likely to get to the end of the year. And even if you miss your mark, you're at least going to know why you missed your mark, as opposed to just, I don't know, it got busy.
Yeah. I think we throw, time at the process as opposed to putting investment in the system. My system of accountability, my system of determining, are we really doing the things that work, right? Being accountable to our plan and holding each other as a team accountable to their task, to our task, and to our mutual results. Sometimes things can fall to the crack. And in the nonprofit world, every day is different, right? There's always some type of new emergency or a new crisis or something that we had not planned or expected. However, I'm kind of old school. I grew up before the time of the cell phone and the internet and all of the things that can be a distraction. And so I believe that if we can schedule out that productive time, that we'll see greater results. And I think that that's proven um, over and over again. Why people who stay the course, follow the plan, and are clear that the plan is reasonable and achievable and can be measured, then those that do that are the most successful.
So let's say for a grant seeker, a head of development, this could be in a nonprofit, in a school setting, even in a church setting, scheduling out that productive time. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
So for me, I think that if we look at each day of the week, Monday through Friday, and we're talking about what are the areas that we need to do to either grow our donor base or to get more grant funding or to acquire more participants, possibly even in our program, whatever it is, that we spend that time 45 minutes focused on each of those areas. So let's say I need to raise more grants, I need to write more grants, or I need to get more grant funding. Then I need to be thinking to myself, how much time per week or per day am I spending on completing those grants, right? If I am spending 45 minutes to develop the proposal, putting each section and component together so that by the next week, the proposal should be finished. And we then do the research for those proposals that we would match. The third week now, we're saying, I got my proposal. I know who it is that I'm working, that I'm going to submit them to. And I spend 45 minutes submitting them, right? I'm saying that if you do this, submit 2 proposals every week, it's reasonable. But what happens is we get in our head, we don't take the time to write it out. And then that's where we get stuck. I need it, but I'm not taking the time to do the work that's needed to get that done, you know? So I think that if you spend 45 minutes on the grant section of your life, now you got the next 45 minutes, you're in the second hour of the day. Now you're returning phone calls to those donors and those funders, 45 minutes. And my thing is, it doesn't have to be 45 minutes at one time. It can be 15-minute chunks. But by the time you get through fundraising, grant writing, donor cultivation, possibly some board conversation, community conversations, you spend 5 hours a day. And for those who have other competing responsibilities, I gotta, all these other tasks that they have to do, then I say, then pick 2 or 3 of those 45 minutes every day, a different one a day. Then you get everything done by the end of the week. There should then be measured results. I'm committing, I am submitting, I am calling, I am getting back to. Now you're talking about productivity. Now you're talking about real action taking place. You're meeting deadlines. You're aware of what's happening, as opposed to being busy, but not productive.
What do you say to those heads of development who say, look, grants are hit or miss. I might spend all that people power and apply and then not get it. I really want to focus instead on direct one-to-one cultivation, asking, soliciting, acknowledging, honoring. What are your thoughts on that? Should they just ignore grants completely, or should they start to gradually carve out more time for grant writing as a complement to that direct one-to-one fundraising?
I found that grant writing actually helped me be a better fundraiser, because the writing of the impact, talking about the evaluation, talking about the needs that the programs were going to be able to accomplish and achieve, some of the background of the organization, I found that I was more clear in my articulation to those individual funders because I understood what the budget was. I understood how much it cost to run the program. And so having those conversations to me were more productive, right? Because I was able to speak to the needs and the interests of that individual, very much like I had to do with the Grant Foundation, right? I had to meet their conversation based upon their objective. People give because of what's of interest to them. So I found that being able to match the language of the grant proposal, right? Same program, but maybe different emphasis because of the requirements of the proposal, it helped me understand that same kind of conversation was being had with individuals. Some people may come to a program and they may say, I'm interested in homelessness, but are you interested in meals? Are you interested in the beds? Are you interested in the food? Same program, But just like with the grants, I'm focusing the conversation based upon the needs of the funder who I'm submitting to. And so I found that I was able to have much stronger conversations with individuals because of that experience of understanding how to articulate through the grants. And while it's tedious, I get it, writing grants, I think it's a great way to understand how to clearly articulate what we do, why we do what we do, and the impact of what we do. And I think that that's a conversation that can be had on paper or face to face.
And it's an invitation to think through all the components, like you said, of the impact of a program. And I know sometimes we can default to, oh, it's just awesome. Can't you just support us?
Yeah.
And you know, for somebody on the other side of the desk who has resources they want to share, they deserve to look at those different wrinkles of the program. What would you say is the biggest misconception of those who are seeking grant funding? Is it that they don't communicate enough before the submission with the foundation, or they don't do their homework sufficiently enough? What would you say?
I think the possibility of them more concerned about what they need, right? I'm really concerned about what I need. I need the money to do whatever activity or to achieve whatever goal. And I don't think that we're really thinking about it as a relationship. And what is it that they need to see? People give because of what's important to them. People volunteer because of a cause that's important to them. And I think that if we looked more at doing the research of understanding what does this organization find valuable, what is it that they are interested in supporting, then we who want to build a relationship, I don't think that money is the issue. I think it's our ability to articulate the need. And again, if people, 98% of people give because of impact, not activity. And I think that we focus more on the activity of what we do, as opposed to through your investment, this is the impact that we'll be able to achieve. And this is how we're going to achieve it, right? That's the description of the grant. So I think that it's slowing down, and we can raise more money with fewer grants that are written well than in mass, just trying to get out a bunch. So working smart, being intentional, and if and when possible, building those relationships beforehand, before those are submitted. But I know that if people believe that their investment is going to result in greater impact, that's what they want. That's why they're giving and participating in the process.
What do foundations see as red flags when a nonprofit is applying? I mean, of course, if you're late, obviously, yeah. But I'm sure there are other red flags too, right?
The red flags could come up with the budget. I find that many organizations really don't have a clear budget. The budget not only includes their expenses, right? I want to hire staff, I want to grow in my capacity, I want to scale my program, but it also includes revenue. And for many organizations that don't focus on what are the various ways by which my organization responsibly should be acquiring resources. And so that comes from individuals, that comes from corporate support, that comes from foundations and products and services, and also events. I think that if we understood better how our organizations are intended to be supported for sustainability, I think that is a red flag, that we have a lot of expenses, we have a lot of asks around what we need, but we're not showing the picture that we have a plan to be sustainable and that we've got the engagement of our community, right? We're a community-based organization, that we then have the engagement, the awareness that's built about the importance of our work and what's at stake in our community if we don't exist. One of the things that I find challenging about social media is we think that a post is awareness building, where I say, if the best way to build awareness about what you do is in your community. You're serving brothers and mothers and sisters and relatives and people that we can see the evidence for, that if we spent more time showing and sharing our relevance there, we would then have greater access to funds. But for the grant, I think it's budget. I think it's plan, not so much evaluation, because I think that's important. That's a loose thing. But I think just a real plan and clear path of how we're going to support it once these grant dollars are done.
We use Bloomerang and for our fundraising database, and they have a way to track grants within Bloomerang. But I'm going to be honest with you, Jen, I found it very complicated. So I wonder if you can help attendees at the summit just understand what are some really simple but very organized and very effective. What are some simple ways to track grant research, grant applications, grant follow-ups?
So again, I'm old school. I throw it on an Excel sheet, right? And I put it up on a wall. I'm looking at it every day. And in this tracker, I mean, while systems are great, it takes time, and it requires the data that goes into that system for it to produce the report or the result that you want, right? And so any system is great as long as you're able to manage it and get the results that you want. I put what I call a calendar. Every grant that is submitted, we're adding who it is, what we asked for, and the amount. Did I get a response? If not, if I don't get a response by a certain day, and I'm looking at it, it's printed out. Again, I'm very old school. It's printed out. If I don't get a response by that day, my tickler, right, as the system would tell me, is to call them or to follow up with them within 90 days. And so everything that is checked off, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing the progress, I'm seeing what it is that I might have to, coming up to as my reminder, so that I can stay on top of it, because it's very easy for other things to kind of overshadow what needs to be done. But that's my way of being accountable too. I'm looking at it every day. I'm being reminded of what my next steps should be and thinking through what I should do if I don't get the response, or if I do what's next. So that's how I do it. And honestly, that's how I train my leaders to do it as well. Relying on systems, if I don't have the time to input the information, then that's a problem too.
How about failing gracefully? We've all had the experience where we apply for a grant and then we don't get it. And initially, of course, there's a little bit of, I can't believe it, don't they see, once the dust settles, what should we do? Should we graciously thank them for the opportunity to have applied? What are some, within 2 weeks of getting rejected, productive things that we should do?
And I think it's really interesting, the word rejected. And I don't accept that word. I think it's maybe the way that I started in this whole process, but I look at it as this wasn't the right time or the right opportunity, but there are more, there are others. I don't look at it as I was rejected. I consider, because I was a reviewer as well, they just ran out of money. They ran out of money. It has no reflection on my program. It has no reflection on how great our work is. It could just be that they ran out of money and they had more responses than they had funds for. And that is very likely, right? So I look at it as there are still countless opportunities for us to use the value of this program to approach others and to take that on aggressively, right? And with anticipation. I don't approach the grant writing as, oh my gosh, what if we don't get it? I look at it as we have an opportunity to express and to show how valuable our program is. And while we may not be funded this year, we have an opportunity to reapply yet next year, right? So it doesn't close the door. It doesn't define how great and awesome our organization is. It just may be we're caught up in some circumstances, but that's not the only option that we have that would be where we would be able to highlight our program. So I hinge on the word rejection, because I think that that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't fundraise, why they don't write grants, because that's the first question. Is there a guarantee? Is there a guarantee, Jan? Am I going to be guaranteed the money? And I'm thinking to myself, well, if you do the right action at the right time, you always get the right results. It's work, though, it's a process. And so, if we accept the process of engaging, of informing, of educating and inspiring, and giving people the opportunity to see the great work that we do, money is not our problem. Money is not our problem.
One thing I want to get your thoughts on this, because the talent pool does seem to be a little bit of a problem in the sense that very few people at this summit can afford to pay what universities pay for fundraisers. There are a lot of smaller nonprofits that, we can afford a part-time person, or we can afford a three-quarter time person, or the one full-time person in development we can afford. The money isn't awesome, and so we're not getting top tier talent. What's your best counsel? Should we still try to find that diamond in the rough candidate? Or if we only have enough for a part-time fundraiser, should we still do that? Or should we try to outsource the whole fundraising apparatus?
I think that growing your team strategically is going to be important. Looking at your priorities. Where do we have the greatest priority that we can focus on for the next year? Right. And once that goal has been reached, ideally you've raised more money, or you've gotten more awareness built to where you can grow from that. Not everything can conceivably be done at one time. I also know that there are organizations that can share a person, right? 2 or 3 organizations get together and hire someone of some caliber, and you share that expense and share that person to do the work for the organizations. I can tell you that I created my company for that very reason, that we work very hard for those ones that are really struggling. Like, Jen, I can't, you got 35 years of experience. Oh my gosh, there's no way, right? But I also do a lot of training. Who within your organization can be trained in some of these areas, right? And you can help them grow in the capacity and understanding, and then they can train others, right? So it has to either start with looking internally. Who do we have internally that can learn, that has an interest in it, that has enough, who's able to pick up quickly, and then share and show others. That's a way. Or hire someone or an agency that can help you reach a specific goal. Pick one goal, work towards that, achieve that. If it's finances, if it's grants, whatever it is, and then grow from there, right? You can't open up an organization and do 5 or 10 programs at once. Focus on one, grow in the impact of that, and then strategically grow beyond that. Measure productivity, value, and success, and then grow from there.
So in other words, don't go for the LeBron James of fundraising. Maybe it's okay to have somebody who can do one particular part of the role well, and then grow from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything that's big was once small, right? Everything that was big. And there's nothing wrong with being new. There's nothing wrong with growing and learning and understanding the process. It's terrible when you pour more on your plate, but you don't know how to manage it. Now you're wasting money, you're wasting time, and you're overwhelmed, and it's no longer fun, right? I've been in this business for over 35 years, and I still love it. I love the day-to-day of the organizations and the work. And I just look at it as we have an opportunity to grow with our program, grow with our community, and grow in our capacity. And if we're doing the work that is productive, that we can manage, now we're not so overwhelmed. We're not feeling defeated. We're not feeling, like I hate going into my office every day because I still don't know what's going wrong. Grow with grace, take it step by step, and you'll definitely be more productive and impactful through that process. That's what I believe.
I think you're putting us at ease, at this summit. You're giving us sort of permission to get better, and not feel like we have to be there already. And I think that's, I really appreciate that. And interestingly enough, many others at the summit have said the same thing. It is okay to take one step at a time, whether it's time management or theming your days or getting things done or agile or in this case grant seeking and fundraising. Jen, you're a very productive person. What's your daily life look like? Do you start it in the same way every day? Do you have a couple of go-to habits that you absolutely swear by that help you to be productive?
I do. So, and this is, for my day in the office. I go through my emails first every morning, those that I can respond to quickly, those that I can do, I do that in the first 30 minutes of my day. Then I put the emails aside and I go to scheduling the meetings or following up on the phone calls that I need to make. And then I do probably about 30 minutes of just vision of, okay, what is my week going to look like? What is it that I want to accomplish? Write those things down. I have an amazing team. And so I'm able to engage with them around deadlines and things, and they remind me and manage me very well. But my day really starts the same. Working with a lot of different organizations, they all have different needs. They all are in different stages of development. And I want to be present in what they're going through to help them through that. So I spend a lot of time really just focusing on, am I good? Is my mind right? Yes, yes. Okay, I got everything I need to get done for me, for my business, so that I can focus. I do that every single morning in that same step. And that probably takes about 3 hours. I make my spinach smoothie and I get into my office and that's what I do. So it's discipline. I think that if we as a community can resist being, caught up in the winds and the waves of things that are happening, if we can start doing some things every single day, discipline in these things, not letting anything else interrupt that, I think we can be more productive, we can be happier, we can be more impactful, and feel as if we've accomplished more, and look forward to the next day as opposed to dreading it because, oh my gosh, I didn't do this, or I got to finish this, or so it's a routine that I definitely have, and I encourage others to try if they're not doing it.
Jen, you've been so gracious with your time and your wisdom and expertise. I just want to make sure you have a chance to promote some of the services and resources of your firm and also tell people where they can find out more about you.
Thank you so much. So my website is JD as in David, Yarbrough.com, JD as in David, Yarbrough.com. My company, I created as an agency where we can do it for you. We can do your fundraising, we can do your grant writing, we can do your grant submitting, or we can show you how to do it, right? We want it to be that one-stop shop. We do grant writing, we do fundraising development strategies, and my new book that I just finished, I'm an author of 5 books in the nonprofit world, is one on strategic planning, because I'm really big on planning. So I just finished a workbook on strategic planning for the organization and strategic planning for fundraising. And so people can email me for that information. My email address is Jen, Jen, at jenthegrantguru.com. JEN at jenthegrantguru.com. And I'm happy to share how they can get those 2 books. They're workbooks. And at the end of them, your organizational strategic plan is done, as well as your fundraising strategic plan. And if you follow it, you'll be successful and productive. It's all about productivity. It's all about accountability to our productivity for the greatest impact. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jen. Really appreciate it.